Alright, let's talk about the Mercedes-Benz G63 that was towed in several thousand kilometers from Inner Mongolia. Since the vehicle already has 200,000 kilometers on the clock, and both the chassis and engine are in pretty poor shape, we are going to do a highly comprehensive restoration to prep it for the owner's upcoming road trip to Tibet and Xinjiang. Therefore, we are doing a deep-level prep. We will do a complete engine teardown and a full body-off-frame separation. The main focus will be replacing a significant amount of chassis and suspension components, as well as fixing the AC issues and stripping the degraded adhesive in the cabin. First up, we quickly strip down the interior and the dashboard. You really have to know what you're doing here. During both disassembly and reassembly, it is crucial to carefully protect the OEM retaining clips. That is how you avoid breaking parts and ensure there are no annoying squeaks and rattles or NVH issues once it's all put back together. To put it bluntly, you have to be extremely meticulous and be prepared to rely on experience earned the hard way. The dashboard and door panels need to be stripped of the degraded adhesive and thoroughly cleaned to eliminate that old, musty cabin odor. Also, this vehicle's AC system is broken and requires a comprehensive overhaul. After stripping the old glue from the door panels, we will need to install fresh sound-deadening material. The deteriorated materials in the front floorboard area will also be treated for the exact same issues. As for the AC system, the blend door flaps and their foam seals have degraded and are emitting a foul smell. We will simply replace these with upgraded, improved versions. Concurrently, we will perform a deep cleaning of the entire HVAC ductwork, the blower motor, and all related ventilation components. Next up is cleaning the blower motor. Because we are gearing up for the body-off-frame separation, the first order of business is to completely drain all the operating fluids. Furthermore, to improve access and make the rest of the teardown easier, we went ahead and removed some of the peripheral components. The entire vehicle body is secured to the chassis by just these 8 body mount bolts, so they are absolutely critical. The working clearance in there is extremely tight, so I couldn't get it on camera, but to break it down simply, there are 2 under the front end, 2 under the driver and passenger sides, 2 more under the rear seats, and the final 2 are located under the rear cargo area. Once you pull those out, you're good to go. With all the prep work done, it's time to finally separate the body shell from the frame. You have to take this slow. Every time you raise the hoist a few inches, you must double-check the clearances all around to prevent any scraping or snagging. Let's also do a quick side-by-side comparison. On the left is the brand new body mount bolt. Keep in mind the sizes vary depending on their exact mounting location. On the right is the original factory bolt we just pulled. You can see the original bolt shaft is actually stretched and rusted over time, which introduces excessive play and a loose, sloppy feeling in the chassis. That's why these absolutely have to be replaced. Now, the entire engine, transmission, and rolling chassis are completely exposed right in front of us. Honestly, it's incredibly satisfying to look at. But this also means all the vehicle's degraded and failing components are laid bare. Since we are doing a complete engine teardown and rebuild, the first step is to pull the engine. And there it is, a massive turbocharged V8 sitting right in front of us. It truly is an absolute unit. Next, we unbolt and separate the transmission. After that, we roll the entire bare chassis outside for a heavy-duty degreasing and pressure wash. We'll identify any active fluid leaks and address them. It takes a few passes of washing and wiping it down completely dry to get it clean enough to work on. Looking right here, you can clearly see the front and rear pinion and axle seals on the rear differential, as well as the transfer case output seals are leaking fluid. We will definitely be replacing all of those later on in the build.
The city hums in steady waves, lights reflect in vivid shapes. I feel the rhythm that it craves, my heartbeat elevates. Every corner pulls me in, bass is running through my skin. I let the night begin, letting go.
First, we'll start by stripping the wiring harness and the various lines off the engine, along with the intake and exhaust manifolds. With all that out of the way, you can clearly see all the areas with heavy oil seepage.
Midnight frequency tonight, lifting me into the light. I'm alive, rising into flight.
Next up is the removal of the fuel lines, fuel injectors, and all the idler and tensioner pulleys. Right around here, you can already spot a massive amount of engine sludge. You can see that this heavy grime is extremely thick and has been baking on there for a long time. What's really wild is the carbon buildup. See this carbon deposit? Wow, it's incredibly thick. Look at how heavily caked up it has become. Dropping the oil pan, we can see the inside is completely choked with thick, gooey sludge. It almost looks like an oil and coolant intermix, which tells us the engine was running in really poor condition prior to this. However, tearing further into the block, we found that the connecting rods are actually in pretty good shape. That's going to save the owner a substantial amount of money since they won't need replacing. Continuing the teardown into the timing assembly, we also found that the carbon deposits on the valves are exceptionally heavy. With the cylinder heads removed, the internal pistons are finally exposed. We continue the teardown by pulling the crankshaft. The turbochargers, as you can see, are also completely caked in sludge. With everything laid out on the bench, we found that the pistons themselves are actually fine. However, the piston rings are completely seized by the sludge. The great news is that the cylinder walls are in perfect condition with zero scoring. Therefore, our rebuild plan is to simply replace the piston rings, the main and rod bearings, and a few peripheral components. Additionally, the valves are definitely failing to seal, so we will need to lap the valves and install new valve stem seals. We'll also overhaul the fuel injectors using new rebuild kits, and that will get everything back to spec. First things first, we load all the disassembled hardware into the ultrasonic cleaner for a deep wash. All right, all the components are now laid out on the bench in front of us. There is an absolutely massive amount of hardware here. It's honestly overwhelming to look at. Just thinking about the countless hours it's going to take to meticulously reinstall every single piece is enough to give me a headache. Meanwhile, all the internal engine components have also come out of the wash completely spotless.
I'll find a new kind of light, running far from sight.
All it takes is being meticulous. Just follow the workshop manual for every component and you'll be fine. That being said, assembling all this definitely requires some experience. Luckily, we rebuild V8 engines here every single day, so we're intimately familiar with the process. First up is installing the crankshaft main bearings and the connecting rods. Once we torque everything down, we actually have to take it right back apart. Why? Because we placed Plastigauge on the crankshaft journals. After removing the caps, we use the measurement scale to check the bearing clearances and verify if they are within spec. Everything here looks absolutely perfect. After that, we proceed with the final assembly. For this part, let's just sit back and enjoy the montage. Next, we move on to replacing the valve stem seals and rebuilding the fuel injectors with their new overhaul kits. Everything has been fully installed and every bolt has been torqued to factory specs. Next, we bolt all the peripheral components back onto the engine block. While we're at it, any degraded sensors, coolant hoses, oil lines, oil seals, and gaskets are being completely swapped out for brand new replacements. First up, we tackle the steering rack, which is also leaking fluid. We will do a complete teardown and rebuild using a new overhaul kit. Next up on the list are the suspension bushings. For this build, we're swapping them out for upgraded heavy-duty reinforced bushings. Now these are fantastic parts. Their only real downside is the price tag, but the results speak for themselves. They make the G-Wagon's chassis feel incredibly tight and completely eliminate that sloppy, loose feeling these trucks often develop over time. At the same time, they manage to retain excellent ride comfort. That's exactly why they are worth every penny. Next up, it's just a ton of teardown work. We use the shop press to push out all the degraded old bushings and press in the new heavy-duty replacements. Next, we replace the transfer case output seals. The sway bar bushings are also getting swapped out for new ones. After that, we move on to the front and rear axles. We drop the rear axle assembly first, only to discover that the entire axle has suffered massive water ingress. Water literally came pouring right out of it. Furthermore, the entire inside of the axle housing is heavily rusted, and the bearings are completely packed with a thick, milky oil-water mixture. Because of this mess, we are going to have to replace a massive amount of internal components on this setup. We start by thoroughly cleaning out the housing. Then we press in the new bearings, install the new oil seals, apply fresh RTV silicone sealant, fill the differential with fresh gear oil, and that wraps up the rear end. Next up is the front axle assembly. The front axle is also suffering from severe leaks, and the internal axle boots are completely shredded. Honestly, this is a very common failure point that needs addressing on a lot of G-Wagons. After giving everything a comprehensive deep clean and installing a brand new front axle rebuild kit, we pack it with fresh grease, reassemble it, and it's good to go. Here's a quick look at the original bearing. You can clearly see it's severely worn out and has even started cracking, and right next to it is the brand new replacement. Alright, with all of that sorted, the next major step is to finally drop the rebuilt engine back onto the chassis and hook up all the various lines and hoses. Energy that feels complete, running through the street. Shadows twist along the walls, echoes slide through empty halls. We also swapped in all brand new body mount bushings. Alright, after that, it's time for the marriage, mating the body back onto the chassis. Then we just tackle reinstalling the entire interior, which is honestly pretty straightforward and doesn't require any real technical wizardry. Finally, we do a complete fluid service across the entire vehicle, and let me tell you, this truck holds a massive amount of fluid. The driver's side door lock actuator is broken, so we are replacing it. The factory taillights are looking really faded, so we're going to polish and restore them. There is no need to replace the entire taillight assembly. The steering tie rod is completely rusted solid, so we are just swapping in a new one. At the same time, we're upgrading the factory steering damper to a heavy-duty aftermarket steering stabilizer. This is going to massively reduce steering wheel vibrations and vastly improve the overall steering feel. The handbrake and steering wheel have been sent out for reupholstery. The windshield has a rock chip, so we are going to do a quick glass repair on that. There is some paint peeling on the roof, so we'll do some paint touch-ups there as well. The spare tire cover has some dents and scratches, so that's going to get some body work and a respray. The third brake light suffered from water ingress and burned out. We also spent forever diagnosing a parking sensor anomaly before finally tracking it down. We just need to replace that sensor. The wheel center caps were missing or mismatched in size, so we are putting on a fresh set. The radiator has cracks in 2 different spots, so we have to send that out to be welded and repaired. The headlight lenses are damaged, but we can just replace the plastic lenses themselves. We just need to make sure they are properly resealed. Finally, there's the notorious common issue with the G-Wagon's electronic gear shifter. It frequently refuses to shift into gear, or the P button just stops working. For this, it's not worth the time trying to fix it. Just replace the entire shifter assembly. A brand new replacement is surprisingly cheap, only about $140 to $280 USD, so I highly recommend just swapping it out. Alright, after putting in a ton of hours, this G63 is finally completely dialed in and ready to go. After a good wash, it's looking absolutely killer. Now that we've gone through the entire vehicle, it looks incredibly sharp and refreshed. For this build, we didn't do too much cosmetic work on the exterior or interior. The main cabin work was strictly about stripping the degraded adhesive and eliminating those old odors. The primary focus of this project was entirely on the engine and the chassis. Driving it now, the truck feels incredibly solid, with absolutely no squeaks or rattles. At the same time, the engine is running buttery smooth, and the exhaust note sounds fantastic. The throttle response is perfectly linear, and you can really feel that the engine has phenomenal compression. Ultimately, the most important goal here is reliability. By meticulously going through the truck inside and out, hunting down every potential failure point, and replacing the worn parts, the owner can have total confidence. Now they are fully prepared to take this rig on another epic overland road trip, traversing Tibet and D-Factory.